Hello and welcome to our latest instalment of the Road to Cheltenham series. Just 3 weeks and counting to that greatest show on turf where those tips rise and the roar is heard around the Cotswolds. And looking forward to it. Of course we are. We're building up to that fantastic festival in March. Don't forget, right now, we are nominating about all 28 races at the festival here at Betfred. Frankie and Joel alongside me as always. 3 weeks to go, boys. It's just starting to crank up once again, isn't it, Frankie?
It is. Yeah, these couple of weeks before, you sometimes start to think that racing not weakens, but gets that little bit less exciting. But I thought Saturday delivered. We had some top-class racing, some good handicaps, and then the talking point, which we'll obviously get onto, Shishkin, back to what I think was his best. So, yeah, really excited. And it's not long at all now.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about Shishkin, Joel.
No, I want to talk about Newbury. If you're Nicky Henderson, and I know he's all about the welfare and stuff, but that was a 15 grand race. The first race was a walkover. What was second place? Probably 3 grand or something like that. A lot of trainers said there was no issue there, and we're going to give Nicky loads of praise. But if that was my horse, you'd want it to run, wouldn't you? Great prize money, no water.
Yeah, just school around and pick up the money. Right, yeah, you're right. There is only one place to start. It is the Ascot Chase, of course. Look, I know where this is going to go. We saw all across social media the big loving for Shishkin, and yes, he was impressive. I'm in a different camp. I think I'm in a minority, a very small minority. I know you boys are waxing lyrical about him. I'll start with you, Joel. You put him up at the weekend. You fancied him. He delivered.
Delivered in a way that I didn't think he was ever going to deliver. I thought it would have been much more hard than it was. Jumped, travelled, not a moment's worry. And Nico kept pulling him back, and he's a real confidence jock, isn't he? When you can tell he's going well, pulls him back maybe 8 out or something, and it was a thing of beauty. I was happy, Nicky was happy, the Shishkin fan club were happy, and I've not heard one person not excited about it. I saw Matt this morning, and he was like, "Well, I didn't get it. Obviously, the other two didn't stay." But it was a solid 10 out of 10 for me. I don't know what you thought, Frankie.
Yeah, I agree. I think going into the weekend, not many people were against Shishkin for his abilities. It was just for his issues. You were either in the camp of, if he is back to his best, he should beat this lot, or he was a brilliant horse, but I'm still a bit worried about his issues, so he's not going to take my money. Joel had bigger and was braver than me on the day, so he backed Shishkin. I didn't, but I said he should still win if he can come back to form. And I think the reaction from Nicky showed that this has been a long time coming, and there's no better man. He's been very patient, and it has all paid off. And I think you just have to now think he is back to his best. He's a Supreme winner, an Arkle winner, a Clarence House winner. He had some issues, so we didn't see him at the top, and now he's back to where he should be. And if you follow that form line and you agree with the fact that he is back to where he once was, then yeah, he's definitely deserves to be where he is in the market for the Ryanair. And I think that is where he'll go. Nico was very confident. He said that's where he'll go. So that's where I said he should go. Chapman was trying to tease out a bit of Gold Cup out of him, but he kind of battered that down and said, no, Ryanair's his trip. That's his game. And he should go and win. Yeah, very exciting. And I'm looking at the market now. There's nothing that screams out to me that should be. Matt will tell us otherwise.
Well, no, I just thought, is there anyone who isn't buying into it?
Tell me why. Go on, tell us why.
Yes, he did what we know he can do. That's the thing. I mean, I said this before. Fakadudari isn't the greatest of form this season. Picknurry was my pick because I didn't know about.
I thought he ran a great race.
He did, but he doesn't stay a yard past 2 mile 4. He doesn't stay a yard past 2.5, and a stiff 2.5. He was paddling. We watched the race again earlier. Absolutely paddling up the hill. So,
but was that because of he went upside Shishkin?
Well, Shishkin did take him on about 6 out, yeah. And I thought there's a couple of sketchy jumps from Shishkin as well on the way around. So my thought pick, yes, he's impressive. We know what he can do. I know he would stay the way he won that Supreme, running all the way to the line. My argument is here now, the hype and everything surrounding him, I just think he's 5 to 4. I just think he makes the market for the Ryanair a really cracking each-way play for something else, whether it's a Fury Road, whether it's a Janadilly one at the weekend as well, we'll talk about in a minute, whether it's something like a Garlaw or a French Dynamo. No, I mean, I'd rather have something like that with 3 places running for you. The nail McCullers to the mast of horses clearly had his problems. That was a massive run I think it was a huge run. Everyone looked, oh my God, it was so impressive. I think that I've taken a lot out of him at the weekend. Now you're asking this horse who's only run once that's only completed once in 13 months. It'll be 14 months by the time he gets to the festival. He's had basically one race in 14 months. You're asking him to back that up in a top level contest and take 5-4. That is my argument, not for me.
Well, Nico, to be fair, one thing so that Nico did also say very, very quickly, he was like, I assure you he will come on for that run. And they wouldn't have gone there destroying their chance, I don't think. It's a fair point. He hasn't completed and he has had his issues, but there's got to be one trainer that would have him right for Cheltenham. You'd probably think that they would have gone there as a fact-finding mission for Cheltenham.
Maybe that's just my point.
There's a problem because I put the wrong horse.
I was about to say that. Is he entered?
Yes. No, he's definitely entered.
5-4 to be entered.
No. I put the wrong horse in the box on the day. That was actually Altior's younger brother.
Look, you were pro before, and I guess you can only be pro now.
Secondly, 7-2.
That's a fair point. There are plenty of each way bets. But for me, they're probably just not bit. Fury Road is what, 5-1.
Matt, would you buy my 7-2 ticket for 30 quid now? I mean, you wouldn't buy it for 30 quid. I've got 30 quid on it, 7-2. Would you buy that ticket off me?
You want to know about?
Yeah. Oh, come on! You're playing. Do you know what? You are.
I'd sell it to Frankie for 50.
You know what you are, mate? You're a low rent Matt Chapman. You got your fishing rod out.
No, that's offensive. No, no, that's just the way I feel. I just think every horse has his price. I'd rather be right going in right now. I'd rather Batley at 13-8 than Shishkin at 5-4. That is how I feel. I think it's in a weaker race because I think there's lots of depth in the Ryanair. Just talk about Janadel. We watched this race as well with Joel earlier in the studio. I know he made a mistake last. He was second in last year's Ryanair, Frankie, well behind Allaho. Not a bad performance though. Back to form at the weekend. That'll put him spot on. Can he go one better, or you not see him holding a candle to Shishkin at his best?
It wasn't a bad performance, and if you just showed me the race card and it said Janadil 1, Auton Couleur 2, I probably would be more excited than I am because I've always thought that Auton Couleur's got a lot of ability and he's just jumped poorly and hasn't ever really shown what I thought he might. And I watched the full race back, and again, Auton Couleur just has jumped shockingly, and I think that plays a part in why Janadil has won, even though Janadil also didn't jump the last that well and a few on the way around as well. But it wasn't, like the slickest race to watch with horses travelling really well and jumping. And I, like I said, on paper, yeah, he's gone and won the race. But having watched it back, I don't think anything in that field has the class to compete with. I'd have Shishkin obviously up there. Fury Road is more of your grade 1 solid horse for me. So he has won, but I just don't think that race as a whole was as strong as maybe I thought it might have been before the day and before watching it back.
So very much in the Shishkin camp, you pair. I'm gonna overlook him at 5-4. Not sure what with yet, but I'm sure it just makes the market a great each way setup for me. Another one that Joel loved at the weekend was I Like to Move It in the Kingwell. You put him up in the Punter's Guide. He romped home 20-1 for the champion hurdle now, which is 4-1 a place if you back him each way. So something's got to come third, Joel.
Yes, we had a conversation about this, and we all tipped a horse in the race. You tipped one, Frankie tipped one, I tipped one, and I just said it. It's been a favourite of ours. He's not done a lot wrong, apart from that last run, and that was the distance issue. I was so impressed, and I heard an interview this morning with part owner. I think it's Jamie and Anne Marie who own the horse. They bought the horse after it had won its bumper by 9 lengths. Jamie texted the trainer, old Twisty, and said congratulations. And then went, do you want to buy it? So they were drunk on Saturday afternoon and they bought it, which I love. I love stories like that. Impulse buy when you've had a few.
How have you bought?
I'm just on my third one now. So I thought it was lovely. I thought the horse was brilliant. Clearly, 20-1 is still. This is where I agree with you on this, Matt. Someone's got to finish second or third. And as the owner said, if State Man stands on a stone, and Constitution Hill stands on the same stone, they're gonna be out the race as the owner and Twisty's there in his tweed coat throwing rocks down on the way in. I don't know. Constitution Hill takes all the beating. State Man probably second, but if you're looking for that third place, I like to move it. I was really, really impressed, and he's beat two good horses as well there. Which one was had the statement form in there as well? Was it First Street? Yeah. So I was mightily impressed. I was really chuffed, and we backed it in the weekend, and what a weekend!
This takes a lot, Frankie, to think that he can bustle up the front two in the market. But as I say, something has to finish third, and he's been there. He's won a great one off top weight. He likes at the track. We know he acts there.
Yeah, he's won plenty of times around Cheltenham, hasn't he? And that Great Wood run was really impressive, even though they had the last omitted. But yeah, really impressive that day. He proved me wrong, to be honest, at the weekend. When he was beat at Cheltenham the time before the weekend, I thought maybe he can't quite compete at the top when he was thrown in with a bit better calibre of horses and turned that form right around. So proved me wrong, looked really impressive. Something does have to finish third. Would it be a bet for me? Probably not, because Vauban is still, in my eyes, the most likely one to follow them home. And if you'd have talked to everyone before Dublin Race Festival, some people were even having Vauban to turn the tables with State Man. So frustratingly, it's a bit boring, but we've kind of seen a lot of these horses at their best, and they're kind of ranked accordingly for me.
Well, maybe as the market goes for Frankie in the Champ here. Right, still some more races to review from the weekend, but a little bit something different. Now, we do see the owners and the trainers and the jockeys at the forefront, of course, at the festival, leading the horse in the parade ring, and obviously in the winners' enclosure celebrating. But what about those that look after the horses day in, day out, and lead the horses around the parade ring at the races and then take them away from the celebration? They really are the unsung heroes of the sport. And in the build of Cheltenham, we went down to Jackdaw's Castle to talk a few of them. What happens, as I say, behind the scenes, the things that the punters don't get to see on TV. And our first little interview is with Lauren Hay at Jackdaw's Castle. She looked after Sky Pirate when he won the Grand Annual 5 years ago.
My name's Lauren Hay and I'm a stable hand here at Jackdaw's Castle. We wake up around 5:30 every day, come onto the yard, muck out around about 3 stables, bring in some horses from the field. It's around 7 o'clock, we tack up our first lot, and then we'll make our way onto the gallops around 7:30. Come back in, sort our horses out, make sure they're all nice and tidy, rug them back up when it's really cold, make sure they're all nice and warm. Some of them like to be cuddled and kissed and just have a lot of love and affection. Other ones you could say feed them carrots and polos and they'll be your best friend forever. And then again, others are just reassuring them that everything's going to be okay and knowing that they can trust you. Also makes your connection a lot stronger with them. People always say they don't understand, but if you're upset or you've had a bad day, you always know that a horse can sense that. And they're always there for you, no matter what. Like, you can literally just walk into a stable and give them a big hug, and they will stand there and accept it. It's just lovely to see how people actually bond with different horses. I definitely say the unsung heroes of racing would be all the guys behind the closed doors, because people don't actually see how much hard work goes on away from a race course. And when they're sat in a nice warm office, we're out here in freezing temperatures and snow blizzards and thunderstorms, so then they can go to the race course and have a lovely day.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. Great to hear from her, just exactly what does happen that we don't get to see every day. Right, let's continue to review the weekend then. We had the Betfred Victor Ladorum at Haydog, where Bo Zenith was a well-backed winner for Gary Moore. Frankie, will start with you. 20s from 33s. Could he bustle up the Mullins monopoly on the Triumph?
Could he win? I don't think so. But does he deserve an each-way shot at the price? Yes. He was well-backed on the day. I thought for a young horse, it was a very polished performance, probably the word I'd use. Looked quite professional for one of these youngsters, and did say, almost call it a staying performance, really. Had to battle a bit and won well in the end. And that makes me think maybe if some of these Mullins horses at the top of the market go quick, take each other on, get a few of the other ones off the bridle at 20s to 1, could stay up the Cheltenham Hill into a place. So can he win? I don't think so. No, I don't think he's as good as those I've just mentioned, Lossiemouth, Bud Density, Garland, Marceau that we saw at Dublin Race Festival. Don't think he's that calibre, But does he deserve to be in there in each way shot? I think so.
I spoke to the connections afterwards, John. They were saying at Sandown, he didn't realise how unfit he was. He clearly needed that, and he showed the benefit of it.
Yeah, I think the trainer knew, didn't they? or somebody knew. I think it was a tale of the betting. The Nichols horse didn't look great, to be fair. And I put up that Punter de l'Est, didn't I? The one that came over from France for the Skeltons. I wasn't too disappointed. It drifted like a barge and then came in again.
I'll be interested to see if he's in the Fred Winter, though, because the entrance through for them this week, because he was a massive drifter. And when you saw the market, you'd be quite encouraged by the run.
Got the FW right next to it. I don't know if you see that. FW for Fred Winter. So I mean, first time on a UK track. See what you've got there. Wasn't smashed to pieces, and I'd be really interested for the Fred Winter. But I thought the winner did well. I was just very impressed, and I thought the money came and job well done and very fit.
Yeah, interesting. But maybe it's worth his place in the lineup. I think the Triumph is a race that may owe the Moore team. Another race, this horse didn't win, but it is in the Albert Bartlett. It's called Collector's Item. Remains at 33-1 for the Albert Bartlett. I know you're looking at it, you think, who's second there, who's been there. But Albert Bartlett's a funny race, isn't it? It tends to go to these kind of horses, that the overlooked ones. Certainly some bigger price winners have won it down the years. For John O'Neill, who's beaten ahead. So he remains 33-1 shot. Could you reel him up? We know he stays, Joel.
Two battlers at the end, and the winner. I know you were on the second horse that day, weren't you, as well? So you're pretty gutted. But it was seeing two horses battle there, and it was like the good old days. Two strong horses going for the line, and I was pretty impressed. And you would take that one out if it was just a normal race and a normal day. I'd take that out of the one for the tracker. And yeah, I can see that for the Albert Bartlett. Was it Making Your Mind Up?
Yeah,
that won the race, and that was given such a great ride, in my opinion, from Lorcan Williams.
Yeah,
but he probably will get 18 months in prison now due to the new rules. But that probably won't happen for 3 weeks because the way it works now, because the stewards ain't good enough to be able to give them that. No, it's an absolute mind mangle. But no, I thought I generally looked at those two horses at the end and thought, fair play to the horses, fair play to the jockeys. And I'm keen on their Collector's Item. And I think it's a lovely little each way shout for the Albert Bartlett, because anything can happen in that race, and it's not always the obvious one. It's one I can never get right. So let's have a pop.
Yeah, it's worth a shot. Double carpet, 33-1. Also, Frankie, apart from that, an update on We've All Been Caught on a horse. So like definitely going for the race. Nigel Twiston Davis thinks the ground was too quick in Ireland, and we'll see a different horse if it's softer at the festival.
Yeah, I think you'd have to, if you like the horse before the Dublin Race Festival, I wouldn't let that race put you off too much. I mean, I spoke to connections before the race that day, and I got the impression they just fancied a trip to Dublin more than anything. And they thought, we've got a half-decent horse here. Let's give him a shot. If he runs well, great. If he doesn't, we're not too bothered. Cheltenham's the target, and we're going to come over to Dublin, have a crack. All the English get stick for not going over and running. We want to be the ones to do it. And I did get that feel from them. They really weren't there saying, we've come here to come and win this race. This is the big target. It wasn't like that at all. They were very chilled out and in the camp of, let's just see what he can do because we think he's decent. So I wouldn't let that race put you off. And, for them to say the ground didn't suit as well. And Cheltenham was always kind of the target, and the Albert Bartlett was always the one they were looking at. If you liked him before, I wouldn't change your opinion too much. So yeah, a positive update is always good. Having said that, talking about Dublin Race Festival, if Barry Connell's right about Goodland and he goes and wins the Ballymore, then the two behind that look like they're going to the Albert Bartlett, Sandor Clegane and Absolute Notions, will probably be of interest.
Yeah, well, we know Hermes Allen wins the Ballymore, don't we? More on that to come, though. A quick talk about the bumper as well, because we saw the bumper at Punchestown, wasn't it, on Sunday? Ballyburn. Yeah. An interesting one, because I saw people saying how impressive he was, and when I watched the race back, he was under pressure for a long way, but he did have that burst of speed in the final furlong, which is interesting for a point-to-point graduate. But 8-1 first show for the bumper, another one to add to the Mullins clan, Frankie.
He is, yeah. God, it's a model, really, and you're going off of visuals, aren't you? Last week we were talking about the the double green horse. I can't remember the name. It's for me, isn't it? Being incredibly visually impressive. Same again. I mean, they all are, aren't they? They go well against a lesser field, but he absolutely flew home once he got going. And you either put that, and I mean, it depends what you put it down to, but that could just be a bit of racing experience, and it took a while for him to get going and realise he was in a race. And once he did, he was tanking. So yeah, it deserves its shot. Mullins will have about 5. An interesting stat, if you do go back through the years, if you look at the winners from Willie Mullins, then something like 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 are usually of the bigger price. His most fancied rarely wins in comparison to one at a bit better price. So if there's any stat to go by, maybe this one that we've just seen at around 8-1, tanking home could be a shout. I'd definitely rather play something like that each way than I would, I probably wouldn't be backing one that's not each way in a Cheltenham bumper. Just don't think there's value for what we've seen. There's nothing like a Facile Vega that everyone's going, oh my God.
No, this looks wide open this year, Joel.
Yeah, I broke my rule on Sunday, which is never ever back a Willie Mullins horse that's odds against in a bumper, and I did. That it was Irish Panther, wasn't it? That was the one that was money for, and you look at it, and why are we going away from Mullins? Why are we going away from Mullins? Because they will know they've got a massive team in there. They will know how good this horse is, and they've got so many good bumper horses that you can rank them and whatever. So whenever you see the support for another one, then it's going to be really good. I would have backed out 4-6 at the weekend, and I saw it was 7-4 went off, and I was really chuffed. But again, that bumper, I think you've got to be there on the day, and you've got to speak to the Irish people, because they always seem to know, don't they? Listen, there's one down the bottom there. That's whatever. But no, I was impressed. Pulled really hard. But there's so many great Mullins horses, and there are ones on the day that will not fire, as Frankie said. So it's point and shoot and pick one out. But I was really impressed.
Right. Don't forget, we are nominal no bet on all 20 races at the festival right now. Before we say cheerio as well, just one last point. Phoenix Way's a horse we've been talking about. Another encouraging race at the weekend. He's going to be a player in the festival for us, isn't he?
Come on, Joel.
Didn't they lose their right shoe?
Some point, at some stage.
At some stage. Right. This will be probably, this is like mad punter speaking to you now as opposed to anybody else. But whatever race this horse runs at Cheltenham Festival, you've got to get on. You've got to get on. The last couple of runs that I've seen, you've just got to get on. I know it's the old school green and gold. There's excuses for the run. There's the jockey making it look a bit harder than it was. I love it. There's some people who hate stuff like this. And I'm not saying corruption or anything like that, because it's part of the game. Not corruption, but getting a horse a decent mark. And I will just, whatever it is, Fred, take my money. Here we go. I'll see you down the Gyro Club.
Yeah, the plate, I think, for us.
It is, yeah. There's you go to the festival and every horse is trying, and there's 5 or 6 in there that have been trying to get a mark or more. Everyone's been trying to get a decent mark to have a crack at a festival handicap. So it's not like it's not going to be competitive, and we think we've got a sneaky bet for you here.
Yeah.
But we've been following it. Everything's kind of looked like all roads do lead to the festival. It does travel and come down to, I think, the second last of the weekend. There's travelling great guns, and I think it's got enough ability. It's ran well at Cheltenham. It stayed up the hill when one was asked into 4th from a little bit way back the time before. It just ticks a lot of boxes for a nice plot for a festival, doesn't it? So we followed it, and the weekend means that we're going to stick with it.
Definitely. All over him, wherever he goes. Keep an eye out for the entries, which are out, of course, on Tuesday this week. That was then the Road to Cheltenham, 3 weeks away. Join us at the weekend for the Punter's Guide. Joel put up five winners last weekend.
Hang on. Along with 15 losers. No. 5 winners and a decent weekend for the first time ever.
5 out of 8. So it's Frankie's turn this week. I'm sure he will be.
I'm going to save him up for Cheltenham. I'm going to have two more bad weeks.
Save it all for the week that matters. So yeah, join us Friday for the Punter's Guide. Next Monday, we're reviewing probably the final couple of trials at Kemp's with the Adonis and the Dovecote, the Triumph and the Supreme Novices Hurdle coming under the microscope. So hopefully join us then.